Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
Good afternoon.
You're well? It's been a while since the Nation of Prayer Breakfast. I met some of you guys then, and I hope you are well. I'm glad to be here. I'd like us to remind ourselves of what we've learned so far. Anyone who can remember at least the first topic we learned about? It was? Singlehood. What is singlehood?
Wholeness, completeness.
Wholeness, completeness. Anything more to add on that?
Self-mastery.
This side? Singlehood. What is singlehood? It's working on yourself. It's self-mastering and seeking to be able to develop your identity and individuality. And then the previous lesson was on social capital, and we talked about the different kinds of relationships or friendships, and we talked about one of them was? Frenemies. And then the other one? Seasonal friends, toxic friends, fair weather friends. And then we also talked about now the element of what do you really derive when you interact with all these people. The toxic friends, the fair weather friends, there are certain things that we derive from there, and that's what we refer to as social capital. And we said we get things like support, encouragement, things like improving yourself, being sharpened as you interact with other people. So we just want to build on that. And the aspect of meaningful relationships is tied with the issue of social capital. And one of the other aspects of relationship we're going to talk about today is we want to learn about dating. And I'd like to begin by asking this question. Which is one of the most dramatic dating experience I've ever had? And which one do you kind of look back and say, we ended it, but it was very, I wish it continued. Just, I'd like to give you like 1 minute to share with someone next to you. Dramatic and just so 2 minutes, and then we continue.
Why do you want to? Taking notes.
Now, depending on how dramatic it was, some of us, I think, those who had very dramatic experiences, sometimes you wish that we had just arranged marriages. I had one very dramatic dating experience some years back, and I almost felt like I wish we just went back to arranged marriages, where where you just you concentrate on your studies and other aspects of your life, and then your parents or your guidance organize. They go identify someone, and then they come and say, "Okay, you are ready," and it's it. And it's it. So when we think about arranged marriages, do you believe that we had dating those days, like let's say like 50 years and going back? Was there dating?
It was there. It was just not as
Okay, let's hear Choge here.
ilikuwa ile tu haikuwa sana kama sasa.
Okay. Yes, I agree with Choge. There was dating. It's just that our parents were the ones who were doing dating on our behalf. What they will do, go ahead. Okay.
I wanted to say, I wouldn't say that the parents were the ones doing the dating because during that time,
Yes.
utapata kijana atakuja aseme, maybe there was she has eyed on a girl somewhere, so she doesn't know how to approach her. You see, then maybe the parents go and reach out.
Yes.
Then hapo ndo utaanza kupata mara kijana anakatia msichana anamrushia. Kuna ile ndani clipping ya Winja nafanya. Anakuja anafanya anainua kabisa hivi kwa kijana wa watu akiendesha baiskeli labda anasikia tu akiona. You see? So there was dating in a way that the two individuals. Before huyo mzazi alete aseme huyo ndo bibi yako. Yeye huyu kijana kwanza ndo ata-identify this is the girl.
Yes.
Then the parents now do a background check.
Yes.
Is she fit?
Yeah.
Does she know this and this and this and this and this and this? Then they approve. If they don't approve now, wanakuletea yule mtu mwenye wao wanafikiria wao ni mzuri. Sasa wewe ndo mzuri.
So there was that where you identify someone and then you enlist the services of your parents and guardians to do the background check and everything. But also there was that whereby even when you are growing, already they have identified a certain girl from that village and that family, or a certain boy from that. So you are growing, but behind the scene things are working. So there was that. So in some cultures you are just told you will marry so and so, and it's a given. So there's different aspects of arranged marriages, and in my own opinion, or our conviction is, it was just a different way of dating then. But in your case right now, the challenge is that you are no longer a part of a community per se in your village. You've moved to a city or to a town, which is not necessarily your community. You interact with people from different communities. You've gone to school, college, campus. So the dynamics are very different. So our schools, our churches, our towns, our counties have become kind of melting pots of culture. And therefore, for your dad or your mom or your guardian to come and say, you need to marry so-and-so, it becomes quite an area of conflict, because your worldview is different, your perspective is different, and you have been shaped in such a way that you want to do certain things in a way you want. For example, you want to pursue a certain career, and you would also want to pursue a relationship that identifies with your values and other things. So it has become a challenge. Yet, by doing that, by us now choosing to do our own thing, we have also lost on one thing. We've lost on the support network that our communities used to give us. Like one of the reasons why parents and guardians would go to do a background check is because they would want you to avoid a case of you getting married to someone who comes from a family where they practice witchcraft, for example. And you see, if you married a gentleman or a lady from a family where they practice witchcraft, at one point, one of your sons or daughters will also have to get that, because it's passed on. So they try to avoid such things, certain values and ideals that are not very palatable as far as they're concerned. And therefore, because you want to date on your own, you've lost that. And right now we are trying to do what we call trial and error. You learn as you go. Experience is the best teacher. So you date and then say, okay, here is where I went wrong. I'm sure right now there are people who are on there maybe 15th or 17th or yes. Yeah. So having said that, I'd like to ask ourselves, we'd like to ask ourselves, where did this idea of dating as we see it in this contemporary setting begin? Some years back, in the US, is where now the issue of dating began, but how it used to be done was like this. If a girl liked a gentleman or a boy, they would invite him to their home. And they would come and meet the girl in their home in the presence of the parents. Not necessarily them being present there, but them being in the background. For example, the gentleman will come and visit, and will sit with the gentleman in the living room. The parents maybe will be in the kitchen or maybe somewhere there, just in the vicinity. And then allow you to just have a conversation. And after the gentleman is done and is escorted, they will ask the girl, what do you think about the guy? And if the girl says, I like the guy, they'll take it to the next level. If he says no, it ends there. But now, so it was kind of like a hybrid of arranged and individual initiative. But now here is what happened. When the aspect of industrialization began, these young men and women began moving into the cities. After school, they would move into the cities looking for jobs and career. And therefore, they wouldn't really have the opportunity to be close to their parents and exercise dating in that form. So what would happen? They would meet someone and then they will now arrange for a date to go and maybe have a cup of coffee or tea together and then meet. And that's why now the concept of dating came in. So it's more of a culture and a practice that we've derived from the US and from the West. And because we have a lot in common with how they live there, because we're in the city and we are educated and we pursue life just like them. Now we meet, and then if you like a girl or a guy, you arrange for a date. So what is dating? What is dating? I know you know it. You practice it. In fact, some of you are in it. Some of you just came out of it. You know, you know what it is. But according to my definition, dating is a state of getting to know someone, and then by formulating friendship that is romantic in nature, and then that friendship that is romantic in nature is based on mutual interest, affection, and respect. It's a state of getting to know someone, formulate friendship that is romantic in nature, that is based on mutual interest, respect, and affection. The ideal objective of a date is usually to take it to the next level of a relationship or long-term commitment and marriage. The ideal objective is to take it to the next level of a relationship, long-term commitment, and marriage. However, not all dates materialize into a relationship or marriage. Is that true? Yeah. Not all dates materialize into a relationship or marriage. Another school of thought is some people define dating as a space where you get to interact with different people and sample, and then before you settle for one. There's also another school of thought. So when someone says they are dating, what they're just trying to do is that they are sampling. They're sampling, like the way you would go to a buffet and say, okay, there are so many kinds of meat and different kinds of food, and we just want to sample. They think sample and then say, okay, I'm settling for this. So that's that school of thought. But the former definition is what for me, that's my confusion. And the world is a very interesting space to be in, because the world is run by principles. Like we have the principle of the force of gravity. we don't see it, but it's there. If we don't know that if you don't believe it exists, just go maybe climb up there and then jump down and see if you'll go up or come down. It's there. And almost everything we do in life is governed by certain principles, and also dating. Because we are here, we cannot avoid it. We also is governed by certain principles. Now, one of the principles that is very fundamental as far as dating is concerned is called GMD. GMD, gradual mutual disclosure. GMD, gradual mutual disclosure. Nimekuwa mluo hapo. Disclosure. In simple, it means disclosing issues to each other mutually and gradually. You get? Disclosing issues to each other mutually and gradually. And it's based on the principle of proportionality. In this sense, that if Janet meets Kimani and they begin dating, there's that element where they begin to disclose issues to each other in a mutual way, but gradually. For example, if Janet introduces Kimani to one of her cousins, she won't demand that Kimani introduces her to her cousin. Automatically, Kimani will get a cue and say, okay, she's introduced me to her cousin, which means that she considers me to be an important person in her life. I might as well also introduce her to my brother or to my uncle or whoever. Maybe not my brother, to my cousin or my brother. You get what I'm saying? And it's very, very important because you have got to be able to gauge the issue of proportionality so that you avoid lopsided engagements. For example, there are people who know, there are people who may know their boyfriend's whole family, but you've never met they have never met any of the relatives of their girlfriend. You see, that is not healthy. So you know the way we chat on WhatsApp, the way someone writes like a 6 paragraph, and okay, and then you do another 4 paragraphs, and then so you realize here there's something wrong. So it has to be gradual, but also proportional. And also the other issue also is, you also have to consider the issue of timing. The issue of timing also is important. There's a concept in gradual mutual disclosure that is called too much too soon and too little too late. Too much too soon or too little too late. Let me explain. Too much too soon. You've met with your potential significant other, and unfortunately for you, we just got out of prison a year back, and it is your first date. You get what I'm saying? It is your first date. Please, I would advise you, not that you're being deceitful, it is not the right time to tell someone that you have been in prison for the last 5 years and you just got out 1 year ago. No, listen, the first date.
They are going to be interested in you with the wrong idea.
No, listen, I'm saying, you have met.
You are not lying. You're just committed. You're not lying.
Aspect of transparency and honesty.
Yeah.
Honesty is where you tell someone the real thing without thinking of what they will think. But transparency, you put it in a way that they won't be offended or offended, I mean. Or they won't be offended. Or even if it might not be in that. For instance, let me say you've attended let me say your friend was performing, right? And you attended the function.
Yes.
Then after them performing, they ask you, how was it? Then you tell them, well, where is it? You've done that.
Yeah, okay.
Listen. From the very go, you've been honest with them.
Yeah.
And to some extent, they will be offended, right?
Yeah.
But what if you tell them it was a nice presentation, I love seeing you present, right? Then later on you tell them, when you're just having a casual conversation, later on you tell them, by the way, you can, if in your next presentation you can twitch here, you can twitch here, you can twitch here.
Oh,
It will be a bit different.
Okay, let's hear from her then.
I think those are very two different scenarios because someone being in prison for 5 years and then meeting up with another individual and then lying, not lying, omitting that information, which can definitely influence the direction of their relationship with that other person being, is so wrong. It's like they'll end up discovering that you lied and now they resent you for lying.
Okay.
You have just been honest whether they like you for it or not.
Okay.
Can I say it's like
Okay, let's hear from him.
Basically, as men, what we usually do is, I think we carry forward the pain until we're in a position, like we see that you're in a position you can handle that. That's when we say yes. So what I will do, I'll tend to tell you what you love to hear. Then, and until saa imagine nikwambie tu wenyewe hata kama nilikuwa nimeframiwa nimetoka prison. Yes, just first I'll let you experience me, the real me. Then uko sasa ukishanipenda na kwambia, by the way, sasa I'm an ex-convict. Nilitoka prison.
Okay. Allow me. Let's carry that one in our discussion. Okay. Allow me to explain. I think you are getting my point. It is. For example, let me use another example. If you met the first time on a date and then you revealed your body counts.
Your boss?
Body counts. Like, by the way, as you see me, I've had 27 boyfriends and slept with 35 men. Like, I want to be honest. You get? I want to be honest. This is who I am. So you either get this or you. My point is this, that too much too soon can become a bit repulsive. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And also too little too late. Like, for example, I am a baby daddy. I have 3 kids. And we have dated for at least, we have met thrice. And then you hear about me being a baby daddy from someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So see now, that is what we call now too little, too late. Like the timing. So the timing of what you say can determine whether you can, that relationship or that date can even begin to germinate and become something. I don't know whether you're getting my point. So there's the issue of a gradual mutual disclosure and then proportionality, and then too much too soon or too little too late. Or you meet and then you like the guy or you like the chick and you begin talking about, but then our wedding, I would love for our wedding to be to have this number of maids or something. Hey, but or for us gentlemen, because we are very excited about having kids, we'll say, by the way, for me, I'd like to have 5, watano. Only 5.
I would love to hear your perspective on the prison situation. What do you think? How should we approach that? Do you think they should tell that person, or that they should keep it and tell them after that person has loved them?
Not necessarily love them, but this is the first date you are having, and there's a way in which when you are meeting for the first, it's almost like when you're going for an interview. There are certain things that there's a way you present yourself, not in a way that you are lying. So my conviction is, if she's an ex-convict, I would love to know that one in the second date, not then. For me. But for you, I think you'd love to know the first day. But now here is the issue. It has to be mutual. Like if you want people to know, if you want people to divulge certain information there and then also you've got to be able to take that step also of being able to divulge some sensitive information about you on that date. Or we should just be point blank and say, we are meeting for the first time, but this is what I believe. I believe we should be able to just lay it as it is before we even say anything.
It's also based on the values the person has. For instance, maybe there are those people, maybe for instance, like she value honesty.
Yeah.
Maybe that is one of our
Yes.
priority values, right? So it means if you hide something, even if you tell her later, but the fact that you hid it from her,
Yeah.
she'll sort of feel, you know.
Yeah.
So you also the aspect of understanding your values and knowing that how you're going to maneuver. Right?
Yeah. And I think that is important. You know why? Because when you are able to communicate that on the first date, it becomes very clear. It's called the rules of engagement. You've come into this house, this is the kitchen, this is the washroom, this is the bedroom. There are certain things you cannot do in the kitchen that you are supposed to do in the bedroom. Oh no, sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes.
Both days cooking or cousin.
Sometimes. Let me use another example. There are certain things that you can do in the kitchen, in the bathroom that you won't do in the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is more, at least, but the kitchen and the bedroom, there's a demarcation. But cooking in the bedroom, like just literally washing utensils in the bedroom and you have a kitchen and a sink, that is,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah. So those are so that is to, I would say in a nutshell, that's some of the principles of in dating. And when you begin the journey of dating, it is in trying to know someone, explore who they are before you make certain decisions. And it has been observed that when you meet someone for the first time or you begin interacting with someone, it is something that you do unconsciously, but there's what we call attraction, and then mutual interest, and then enjoyment. Like you are attracted to someone, and then you interact with them and realize you share certain things in common. And then you enjoy their company, and now you say, I'd really love, because I am attracted to this person, and because I find that we have mutual interest in certain aspects, and therefore, and I enjoy their company, I would like to take this one to the next level. So that is now the goal of dating. So the reason why many people don't go further with dating is because they may have been attracted, but they have realized they don't share a lot in common, or they don't really enjoy each other's company, and they say, no, this one I can't go on with it. Are you seeing the point? So the goal, when whichever date you engage in, those three things are usually fundamental. Attraction, of course, you will be attracted to someone for the first part, their personality, the way they communicate, the way they appear, the way they carry themselves around, but now spend time with them and realize, oh, but they love this kind of movie, or they take their spirituality seriously. I do take my spirituality seriously. That is common ground. And then you enjoy their company. There's something called companionship in the aspect of friendship and relationship, where you can just be around someone, you are not even talking, but you enjoy their company. Have you ever experienced that? Just being them being present. So when you reach that level, then you say, I would love to spend more time with this person. And now that's where now the issue of commitment comes in. So, but many people jump from attraction to sex. Attraction, sex, and then they try to now to find mutual connection, and then enjoyment. So it becomes messy. It becomes messy. It's just like now the way you have, and you see all these things are part and parcel of a romantic relationship. Sex is part of it, but if it comes early, now it messes up the thing. It's just like if you are preparing different kinds of meal for your visitors. You have some githeri there, and then you have some beef, you have some rice. If you've presented them in githeri here, rice and beef, and maybe some chapati, someone will come and choose whatever they want. But if you make it mashakura, you decide to mix everything. It can be messy. You get what I'm saying? If you mix the chapati and githeri and other things together, it can be messy. That's why it's very important for you to kind of take it slow, so that by the time you go to the next level, you are able to have figured out where it's going. Go ahead.
Hii enjoyment inaintil nini tumesema sex hayuko hapo.
Enjoyment has an element of like I brought in the issue of companionship, and also I brought in the issue of just being able to find it interesting to communicate with this person, being around them, doing life together in a different setting. Like you see, you've heard of the different love languages, like words of affirmation, and then serving. Maybe anakuja mnapika pamoja. Of course, maybe you go for picnic together. Things like those ones.
Physical touch.
Alafu kuna physical touch, and of course also it depends where you touch and how you touch now. So I would love. Of course, we'll talk about it more later, but I would love for us to be able to limit enjoyment to just relating before sex. Sex is enjoyable and pleasurable, and it's part of the deal. But if it comes later, it's usually much better, because the moment it comes here, it messes up the dynamics. So on that note, I would like to give the floor for maybe a question or two, and then we'll go for a discussion, and then we go to the next part of it, and then we'll finish. Any question? Okay. Quick one. Okay, Choge.
You've mentioned things. Similar. Okay, there are two kinds of similarities. You've mentioned these ones, like the kind of movies I watch. Whether I'm in Kenya Kwanza or Azimio, those kinds of things. There's this book I read some time back. It's called The Defining Decade by Dr. Meg J. She called these things deal breakers. So there's these other things like matchmakers, and you've talked about deal breakers being important. So matchmakers, the matchmakers are these things like the psychological aspect. How similar are we psychologically? Like, am I neurotic? Is she neurotic? Am I introverted? Is she extroverted? And those kinds of things. So I'm kind of conflicted here. I'm listening to you. You're saying the deal breakers are important. This lady is saying the matchmakers are important, because I'm trying to understand according to you, which are more important, the matchmakers or the deal breakers? Because the matchmakers understand who this person is, not what they like.
Okay. Of course, now you are a bit prophetic. You've gone ahead. There's a topic we are going to talk about, expectations. But just to touch a bit on it, we'll talk more about it. But there's something for me, I categorize this aspect in two forms. I say hardware and software. There are those things that hardware is like the way someone looks, maybe their skin complexion, their height, because their height, maybe their economic socio-economic status, things like those ones. Yes. And then now the softwares are those ones like things like she's mentioned. Neuroticism. She wants someone who is honest from the word go. To some people, and to many people, being honest, and you'd rather hurt them by being honest as opposed to not diverging. So those are values, things like honesty, faithfulness, commitment, principles. So to me, I'll say, as far as I'm concerned, we'll talk more about those ones, but as far as I'm concerned, I would go first of all, for the software aspect of someone, which is the values. Because those ones, they are like what I would say, the things that are really holding this building. It's not just cement and mortar. It is the principles of architecture. Because if someone came here and said, by the way, I'm sorry to inform you that the guys who built put up this building did not use the right kind of metal, and it was going to kind of like have a problem in the next 20 years, and we are on the 19th year. Will be shaken and say, okay, we will not be very comfortable being here, as much as it looks formidable. Why? Because there are certain values that hold relationships, hold individuals and relationships. that can withstand time. Because you can be slender and then you gain weight.
Yes, exactly. So
You can have money. Like for me, being at my age, at some point I had lots of money. And then at some point I lost everything. And I was in emergency. So if my wife was with me because of money, so money is important. So that's what I said. So I think because we have that topic coming up, you hold on to that one and then we'll talk more about it.
and also just to say something here, by Leo Tolstoy is right. He says, what counts in making a happy marriage is not so much how compatible you are, but how you deal with the incompatibility.
I agree and disagree.
So now that's where now
I agree and disagree. This said that there's an element of before, like I've said, attraction, mutual interest, and then enjoyment. This one is about compatibility because you cannot, even among gender friends, you know that there's certain people you just don't click and rhyme. Not because you hate each other, but because of maybe the way they carry themselves around, the way their value system and these things like those. Yeah, and how they think. So you've got to be able to kind of like verify certain fundamentals before you even take it to the next level. So an element of compatibility has to be there. It has to be there, Shoge.
yes, I agree.
And then, but it doesn't mean that now you are compatible in everything.
Yes.
Now, when you have dealt with the fundamentals, you can go and start begin to deal with other issues like I don't like the movies she watches, or I don't like their parents. Her parents, but don't tell her that. Or I don't like his parents, or I like the dad, but I don't like the mom. You see, you get what I'm saying? So you just know, and since you don't stay with the mom and the dad in the same house every day, you can deal with it. Maybe you just go to visit them once in a while. So you just go there and lie low like an envelope, pretending that everything is okay. Dealing with the compatibilities. You get what I'm saying? But you cannot begin with incompatibilities. You begin with compatibilities first. You get? Begin with the things that bring you together, that you find in common fundamentals, and then now these ones will empower you to deal with the compatibility. Okay.
Can you replace the definition of companionship?
Companionship is a state of. Let me rephrase it. The companionship is the aspect of having a sense of belonging or a connection with someone. And it can come through communication, verbal communication, or just you being present around that person. And that's why, for example, you may get, especially people who have lived together for a very long time, like elderly couples. Like you just find them seated and they are not talking much. Like if you guys still have grandparents, they're just there.
Spending quality time.
Yeah, like just there. You are just basking in the presence of the other. So it has different aspects: communication. It has doing things together, but also just being able. And the people who enjoy who have gotten the essence of companionship more are young children. Like the fact that they will just. You as a father or mother, you are in the house, and then they have eaten, they are okay, and then they go to play. But then they keep coming to see if dad is around. Or you are working on your, some work on your laptop, they're just around hovering. They're not minding about you, but they know you are around. So that is a sense of companionship. It makes sense? Okay. Okay.
I was asking.
Okay, and then, huh?
Okay, with the 3 stages, do you like have a specific timeline? Like this one should take, since I can just use 1 day each one.
I know where you're going.
Just like timeline. To the case of stage 2, whereby I need to check on the mutual interest. Okay. I usually say that
okay.
Yeah, and we are supposed to I'm supposed to when you love football, I'm supposed to be loving basketball. So that at least we can like
bring us some diversity.
Exactly, and we learn as you learn.
Okay.
So is that okay? Like me trying to look for someone whom we are not similar in some way, because like it will be something we are like competing or something.
Yeah. I would say, of course, we are going ahead of ourselves, but let me just mention this. Like I've mentioned to Choge, you have to begin on a common ground first. You see the way they train soldiers. All of you are taken to one space and you are trained together. But now after that's when they say, okay, you are going to join the Air Force, Navy, and Army. But all of you are trained in the same space. You are given the same kind of experience. The hard work and severe training, how to shoot and all those kind of things. And then now you are taken to different segments. So I'll say begin with things that we share in common. And let me tell you one thing. The things that your differences, you don't have to look for them. They'll just come. So the best thing is to be able to identify something that is common. Because the differences will come. Like if you want to find a mistake, even inside, like in your parents or your siblings, you'll find it. So the treasure here is what is this common thing between us, fundamental common thing that we share mutually, that can lay the foundation. And then now it helps us to be able to deal with it. There's things like football and rugby and movies. Maybe they lack soaps. You cannot even stand soap for 2 minutes or something like that. Good. And then the duration, I would say, don't rush it, but also don't rush in the sense like start having a timer on it. Like now we have done attraction. Now it's 3 weeks. No. That's why it's called gradual. Gradual is something that give it some spontaneity. Help it, let it just flow gradually. And then you can sense and say, okay, I've been dating this girl for the past 1.5 years or 1 year. And this is where this is my evaluation of where we are at this point. Yeah. But don't rush it. Because I agree with you that people who have a timer on it and they say, okay, let me rush through it so that I reach the other goal. Okay? Okay.
Does it like to be companionship or dating? Does it just have to revolve like around someone being around someone like physically? You get it?
Yeah.
Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. I'm looking for a friend. Like these two people happen to have met online.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Then they talk there. I don't know if they pass this stage.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. Like, so what you're asking is?
They broke up with you.
Or even virtually.
Online.
Oh, virtually. Okay. Yeah, I would say this. We have got, just like dating. Dating is not our thing as Africans. You know? It is something that we have adapted because of the realities on the ground. You get? And therefore, I would say dating also is something that can be done in different aspects. Like you can meet online, that is the virtual space. Yet my counsel will be, try to do a hybrid if you can. Because there's something about engaging with someone physically, just being present with them that makes you learn more about them as opposed to just virtual. So I'd say, because eventually, if you want to settle down in marriage with them, and even maybe have a family together, you will have to meet physically at some point. Of course, you can choose to do everything online, but it won't be very meaningful. You get what I'm saying? So do a hybrid. If you have met online, then also arrange for you to be able to meet physically, just to be able to interact with them, to get another sense about them that is you cannot really get it from the virtual space. Yeah. If you break up if you're meeting physically, we can call it a breakup, of course, but I still see. I'm old school, so I still feel like it was not really authentic because you just met online and then broke up online on a space. But I wouldn't really trivialize it and say that you are not hurt because you broke up online. But I would, if my son or daughter came to me and said, I met this guy online and we want to get married in December, I'll tell them, I almost said something, but I'll tell them no. I'll tell them no. I'll want to meet the person, interact with the person, because there's something about physical proximity that brings in a meaning. Okay. Yes. So I guess let's take a short break of like 5 minutes. We do a discussion. There's just to be able to reinforce what we've been talking about. I want us to do an assignment. Just take one piece of paper. Just on what we've been talking about. Just pick one, and then you can do it maybe in a group of 4, and then. Just one each person, and then we'll discuss in a group of 4. Huh? Just take the piece of paper, read it, and then in a group of 4 or so discuss.